Hello, listeners. Hi, how you doing out there? I'm your host, as always, David Sagoe. Thomas Arnal, to my side.
Hey.
Michael Downey, somewhere below me.
All right. Oh,
And somewhere else, Jose Garcia Vidal. Oh, he rolled his way in.
yes.
Wow, look at that.
Um,
He's the GOAT, the greatest on earth. That's the new one. We're
Oh, really?
retiring the GOAT. Yep.
Oh,
Diana Taurasi received the GOAT award yesterday.
she did.
It's been retired. That's it. She's the GOAT. Question. No, MJ. Shut up. Shut
I
up.
just wanna mention
Sure.
that her parents are Argentinian, so just want to put it out there.
Claim it. Claim her.
Claim it. Yeah. Claim her. Go for it.
And now we're going with the GOAT, the greatest on earth. So we're back with the Western Conference preview. So as we did last week, we are going to run down the Western Conference standings from last season and talk about the teams and their outlooks for this season. So as we did last week, we are going to try and spend around 4 minutes per team, no less, and get into the roster changes, who their X factor is, and where we think they're going to finish this season. This year, today, we start off. I better get this right. Guys, put the pressure on me. Spotlight. Tom put camera 3 on me. This year, we start off with Tom and his Utah Jazz.
I don't know what's going on. I'm starting early this year. Like, I'm not getting none of those bad teams. What do you say? I'm used to start late on this one, but hey, I'll take the early bit. All right, cool. Utah Jazz obviously finished first last season and crashed in the playoffs to the Clippers after being up 2-0, 2-zip, and then Game 6 up by 25, and then they lost that game, and bang, they got Paul George out of there.
Paul George and Terrence Mann.
Yeah, and Terrence Mann, which raised a few questions on coaching. Anyway, so this season, players in, they've drafted Butler, not the one you think, not the brother, but Jared Butler.
And he's not a butler. Just want to say that.
And that's not his job.
Important to know.
Just so you know. All right.
But he's a butler.
Yeah, but don't expect any cup of teas or him to fetch your umbrella if it's
None of that.
None of that bullshit.
Yeah.
They got Rudy Gay from the Spurs, so they double Rudy on their team. Hassan Whiteside from the Kings. I didn't know he was still playing. And Eric Pascal from the Warriors as a free gift from the Warriors. Thank you.
Yeah.
And they've resigned Mike Conley, who's now 34, I think.
It's important.
Yeah.
So they got rid of Derek Favors, who went to the Thunders, George Niang to the Sixers, great trade, Matt Thomas to the Bulls, and Ezan Silva. It's gone somewhere else. We don't know. He retired? No. He's too
Europe?
young. I don't think so. Maybe China? He's gone. He's somewhere else. I don't know. I've not looked out.
Find him. Find him,
Find him.
listeners.
I'll
We
find
need to
him
know.
somewhere. So it's an interesting team because obviously last season they finished first in the West. They were the fourth on offense and third in defense. I think they were 52 and 20. If I'm not.
Yeah, best team in the NBA, right?
Yeah, best team in the NBA, best records, 70%. And fair enough, they were expected to do somewhat well in the playoffs. Not a second round, but get to the final, Western Conference final, at least. Semifinals, maybe, the minimum.
With their route, right? They were expected to beat the Grizzlies, and then to have once Kawhi went down, everyone thought they would get through that series.
So a bit of a surprise in it, and yeah. So this year they've sort of went with the same thing. So it's the same starting five. The only thing they've touched really is their bench. So they've lost Favor. They brought in Whiteside. They lost nobody else, but they brought in Rudy Gay and Pascal from the Warriors. So they've kind of trying to upgrade on what they had on the bench. So that's also, funny enough, that's my X factor, is how is the bench going to perform. So obviously, I said the starting five is not moving.
Is the same.
I think that the regular season we'll see the same from them. Maybe coach is going to make a few changes in terms of maybe feeding the ball a little bit more to Gobert. I don't know. I know he's not the most gifted offensive player out there, but and that's what I was talking about the Clippers series. When the Clippers went small, they didn't feed him inside at all. There you got absolutely blazed on defense because they couldn't catch up to the small five, right?
Yeah.
But if you've got a small five on the other side, that means on the other hand, you've got a size advantage, and they did absolutely not play with that. So I think in terms of prediction, top 2 again, top 3, upper Western Conference. I think that's it. That's maybe the same sort of win percentages, like around 70%. I think that's more than feasible for them.
Do you think, you say that in the regular season, do you think they are title contenders?
I don't know. I don't think so. I think they need a third big name, because they've got Gobert that can play defense. They need somebody else that can put the ball in the basket, if you know what I mean. Okay. Maybe not a star, but like a very solid, like a Paul George would fit in there nicely.
Fit on a lot of teams. I'm telling you, it's a great skill set.
Yeah.
I don't know, man. I think that this might be a good year for the Jazz. Consider that they had 2 decent years, obviously, with really good records, and you could see the lack of experience in the playoffs. But we saw the same thing happen to Milwaukee, So it's kind of like a similar situation where Milwaukee got to a really good point in regular season, then they lost in the playoffs. The Jazz did such a good job being so reliable on offense and defense. I think that Clarkson and Rudy Gay are now on the bench, so Rudy Gay can still put up like 20 points on any given night. So I think second, third in the West. I mean, obviously they're making the top, but I wouldn't object thinking of them as contenders.
They have continuity, right? They've got the same roster, they've got the same players, so they have experience of what it takes to maybe go over that hump of going past the second round. But
I think the big difference with Milwaukee though is like Milwaukee, you've got an MVP that's still developing, right?
Yeah.
Like I don't think
two-time.
Two-time exactly. Mitchell doesn't look like he's going to take another leap from where he is, right? And I think we know where that is, and it's a fantastic player.
Yeah, he's quite high already.
Not on the same level as Giannis, essentially.
Yeah,
I think the big issue is Gobert, and we've talked about it on other podcasts that he can get planned out, he can get managed out of games. So I think they're going to be like regular season beasts, but playoffs are always going to be tough for them is their setup, unless they can figure something out that maximizes what Gobert can do, because they haven't done that so far.
Yeah, I think they needed to get more athletic on the wings, because I think a big part of them getting torched by the Clippers during that stretch was not only that Gobert was being dragged out to the corner for 3-pointers, it was also that they kept getting beat off the dribble, and their wing players are slow, right?
Yeah, it's Bogdanovic and Joe Ingles. It's that it doesn't scream, speed, lateral speed on defense.
Exactly.
It sounds more like Tom on Sunday morning or Saturday lunchtime.
That squad.
Yeah. So I think until that changes, they can't like reliably take Gobert off the floor because their whole defense falls apart. So I think that's the other side of the issue. I wouldn't put it all on Rudy's broad shoulders. Hey. Anyway, best of luck to them. We move on. Who's the second team? Who's this? It says Jose Phoenix Suns.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
That's it.
Really?
So the Suns finished second in the West last year. Notable players out are Javon Carter, Torrey Craig, Tishon Alexander. I mean, they're not notable, to be honest. But
Where's Torrey Craig gone to?
Torrey Craig, I don't know where he went to, but he's
I'll
free
look it
agent. Players in Elfrid Payton, free agent from the Knicks. Randall, not the Randall, Chasson Randall, Chandler Hutchison, Landry Shamet, and JaVale
McGee.
Yeah.
Three-time champ, man. Show him his respect.
Champion and
world champion.
All-time
Olympic
Shaq
champion.
full
Sorry,
MVP.
Olympic champion. Yeah.
And Shaq a full MVP.
Torrey Craig, for those who care, Indiana Pacers.
There you go.
Yeah. That was my team last week, right?
Yes.
Yep. Was it?
No, it was not.
The best thing that the Suns did this year was re-sign Chris Paul, obviously 4 years, 120 mil. And I think that's, I mean, the X factor is going to be maintaining their players happy, because remember that now Ayton is fighting for his contract extension, and he wants the max rookie extension, same as Luka and Trey got.
Yeah.
So to be fair, if I was the Suns, I would think about it again. Like, he is a great player. I don't know if he deserves such an extension. I know why he wants it, because other players in his class have it, so why not? But I don't know if he deserves it. I think that he happy was it like 100 and something, like 150. They want to give him more.
Yeah, 159 or something like that.
Yeah, which is ridiculous for a 22-year-old anyway. So I think he should not be greedy. He should stay in this team, keep his organization and team happy, and he might have another chance at a championship. However, that being said, about keeping the team, that would be my X factor for the Suns. But and obviously, Chris Paul and Devin Booker being the most important pieces of this team. I think it's just so hard to see them again. When you see it on paper, you see the roster. I'm like back to square one where I was last season. Like, what's going to happen with the Suns? I don't see it. And then they might surprise me, I see them like maybe, I mean, they're going to be a solid playoff team, like 4th, 5th, maybe 6th. Contenders again? I don't know. It's just so hard to see it. But then again, they play so well that they, shut everybody up. So that's my prediction. And it's quite vague, to be honest. I just don't know what to think about these guys.
They're such a well-oiled machine. Like, the Lakers had them in preseason. I only watched the first quarter, I think. I only watched AD's, however long AD plays, that's how much of a game I watched. Fuck the rest of those guys. And it was like I was right back in the playoffs again. They were just executing, moving the ball. Jay Crowder's hitting threes, Bridges is hitting threes. And I was just like, these guys, man, they're just so freaking reliable. It's just annoying. I don't even think Booker played. It was just Chris Paul out there with a lot of the role players, and Ayton was running to the basket and grabbing offensive rebounds, and everything was just so timely. And I think they'll be very good again. The only difference that I could see this season is them being as healthy as they were last season. I think they had like the 3rd healthiest roster in the league. And if that doesn't happen again, then maybe they could struggle. But I've definitely, like you said, got my eye on that contract stuff. It's something that I brought up with the NBA UK fans peeps about, like, what's going to happen. We know Sava has been the least reliable of owners for the longest. I think at Suns Fans UK, shout out to them, I think their response was that he said that he would pay if there's a good team to maintain. But now we're seeing these talks sort of slow down and stall. So, and after Ayton, it's going to be Bridges that's up for his next contract as well. So that team could get very It's me, D, on the GNG. Here we go. Anyway, I'll stop rapping. Denver Nuggets. The Denver Nuggets, who both overachieved and underachieved in the playoffs. They obviously were the 3 seed, managed to make it out of the first round, and then got trounced in the second round because of injuries. But as far as ins and outs go, I have not many. Jeff Green in, Millsap out.
How many teams is Jeff Green on now?
All of them.
I like Jeff Green.
He must be more, right?
Yeah. He's been on more teams than there are NBA franchises because he was on some of the ones that aren't around anymore.
Sonics.
Bobcats.
And the Vancouver Grizzlies.
He was actually on the Sonics. So he's come in. We know what he is, all-purpose big man coming to replace Millsap. Slightly younger version, defends better at guarding the 5, more mobile, more athletic, a little bit more reliable of a jump shot as well. So that's an upgrade in my eyes. He gave the Nets good minutes. But this team, as I said, it's important to look at the injury and the health. They re-signed MPJ, gave him the max. So I'm sure Ayton's just like, well, he got it, so I'm getting it. And it'll be interesting to look at his development, but a lot this season is going to be riding on how
the only man that matters.
For the audio listeners, Jose is holding up a Campazzo jersey, which he's taken with him
everywhere.
You never know. You never know.
On a work trip. Just in case Campazzo turns up and signs it for him.
It's the cake.
Jose's got a suitcase full of Argentinian jerseys just in case.
You never know, Campazzo might come to Gloucestershire.
Beautiful part.
Mate, gotta be. But it's all a lot hinges on Jamal Murray returning for this team in the latter end. He wasn't around for the last playoffs, and because his injury was so close to the end of the season, I think it was like a month before the regular season ended, he's going to miss most of this season as well, which is a damn shame because he was looking like he was ready to break out. Even though he had a slow start to last season, he was playing while injured. So that's a lot of why he didn't bring his bubble play into the regular season. He was playing with injuries, and then he was in and out with the injuries. And then he finally got a long-term injury, which is a real shame. But hopefully he comes back, and depending on how strong he can be in his return, they could be real contenders.
The
MVP? Yeah. With the jump that Jokic took in his absence, having those 2 weapons potentially firing is a scary prospect. And I was close to saying that they would be favorites going into the Western Conference playoffs last year, and then he got injured. Because with MPJ, with Gordon on defense, now they've got Jeff Green as well over Millsap. That's another spot where I don't think Millsap would have played much, but now they've got someone who can actually come in and give minutes. It's a scary prospect. So that's their X factor for me. It's how Jamal Murray returns. I think they'll be in and around the top of the West again in terms of the regular season, but as far as how far they go in the playoffs is going to be up to Murray and his health, I think, still. Shouts to Campazzo, though. He's the man.
The go.
hey, he's the go. Next up, we have Mike with the Clippers.
The LA Clippers now. It's no longer the Los Angeles Clippers.
Hey, Inglewood. Inglewood always up to no good.
LA. Yeah. They had a little bit more activity in the offseason. Patrick Beverley has gone. They brought in Bledsoe They brought in Justice Winslow. I think Harry Giles came in this, but it wasn't beforehand. And they picked up a rookie, Keon Johnson. So yeah, a bit of a weird one, I thought, to be honest with you. Justice Winslow hasn't shown much in the past couple of years. Harry Giles has been in and out of a Sacramento team that hasn't done much. And Bledsoe, again, hasn't performed as what his expectations have been. So a little bit odd. And they've lost Patrick Beverley, which was a big personality at the very least on that team. But I think his best was probably behind him. But having a 3-and-D guy is always kind of handy. So bit odd. With Kawhi out, I've got a starting lineup that looks quite weird and interesting. Reggie Jackson, Bledsoe, PG3, Batum, and Zubac. Maybe Terrence Mann in that spot. But I don't think they're going to try and do the whole season as like the small ball that we saw in the playoffs. But it's always good to have that in the back pocket, and have that running as well as what it did is going to be handy for quite a few teams, I can imagine. But yeah. So X Factor, the big missing thing is Kawhi. I think he is probably not going to play for the majority of the season, is everything that I'm hearing. There's a dependency on whether he got like a full surgery. I can't remember what even his injury is now.
ACL, I want to say.
Yeah. I think you're right. There was like whether it was going to be a partial replacement or a whole sort of thing. Will determine his timeline, whether it's sort of January or later in the year. So I think one of the big things for them is going to be who steps up. They've got quite a few other options. If Kawhi's not there, who's actually the second man in that team? Is it Reggie Jackson? Most likely. Could be Kennard. It could be his time to actually step up and play what his contract is worth, because at the moment he's getting way overpaid. Or it could be Terrence Mann. Terrence Mann could take another leap, or Zubac. So I think it massively depends on who is going to sort of fill that second star role. PG-13? Yeah, PG-13.
Yeah.
I like it. We know he can do everything pretty well. But he needs somebody, especially in the West, you need somebody else to step it up beside you, basically.
Yeah.
So I've got them slipping down pretty far. I think they're going to be in the play-in.
Oh wow.
Okay.
Yeah.
Could happen.
In the play-in.
Yes.
Yeah, I see that. I see that because Kawhi was such an important part of their success in the regular season and playoffs. So yeah, I see it. Unless Terrence Mann becomes Paul George for Kawhi Leonard, George, if you know what I mean.
His MVP season.
Yeah, they're going down. Yeah, I agree.
I can definitely see it. Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if it happens. But the West is. I don't know. The West doesn't. It looks more packed. I don't know. It's more difficult to analyze this year. I don't know.
Yeah, definitely. I think like the 5 to 9 spot. 4 to 9 spot. Like could easily flip completely for me, and I wouldn't be at all.
Absolutely. But it's like the playing spots last season, right? They were all completely mad.
That's what happened.
I think this time it will be between, like you said, between 6 or 5 and 8 or 5 and 9 or whatever.
Yeah,
might be big.
Yeah. Maybe more. All right. So next up we have it's Tom again.
Yeah, the Jazz.
With that's it.
The Jazz.
His guys.
Obsessed. All right. It's time for the Luka show. No, it's not. Hang on.
It is.
It is a little bit.
There's no one else there.
Yeah, there's no one else. They obviously, if we sign Luka for $205 million, what are you gonna do with all that cash? Last season, what did they do last season? Last season they finished with 42 and 30, I think. which was 5th in the West. 8th on offense, but then 21st on defense. And I don't know if you guys remember last year. Oh, hey,
That's one.
it's one. Hang on. I got it.
Switching the camera angles.
Switching the camera.
It's back.
Yeah, so 21st in defense, and I was just like, so I was saying that if you remember the preview last year, and I had the Mavs, and I was like, oh, they were bad on defense, but they got some players in that would hopefully
Change
solve
that.
that. And then bang, the complete opposite happened, where they actually got worse on defense than they were. So,
and worse on offense.
Yeah, and worse on offense. So that was really, really weird to see that happen. It's just one of those weird things. Like, I think the front office went, all right, this is what we need to fix. This is what we're fixing with those players, and then they went, nah, none of that happening. So the starting 5 is looking good. They have Doncic, Tim Hardaway Jr., Finney-Smith, Porzingis, and Dwight Powell. Yeah. But in terms of players they got in, Moses Brown from the Celtics. Okay. They got Reggie Bullock and you know who else? The French Luka. The French Luka. Frankly, on a one year deal. And then they also got Sterling Brown. Also, and very important, they got a new coach, Jason Kidd. So that's going to be interesting because Jason Kidd, in terms of coaching past, maybe not the best track record. You know what I'm saying?
He has a championship as an assistant coach.
Cool for him. He's already messed up with that picture of him wearing this bowling oversized t-shirts.
Oh, the memes, the color.
Have you guys seen the thread? There's a thread. I'll send it to the group, but like, go look it up. And it's like, it gets worse.
Yeah, they say he looks like a butcher. They said he looks like a barber.
A barber that'll fuck up your cat.
I saw the one where for every 25 likes, they made the collar bigger.
Yes.
That was so good. I saw that one.
It's bigger than the arena.
That's amazing.
Too much.
So that Jason Kidd, right? Oh, hang on, can't hear you. But then they brought in Josh Richardson from the Celtics. Don't know. If
Wait, what?
Sorry, they lost Josh Richardson.
Yeah,
sorry.
they lost
Celtics.
him. Yeah,
Sorry,
they needed to lose him.
They needed to lose him.
Since he left Miami, he has not been good.
No,
I was glad to see him gone from. We definitely won that trade with the Celtics. Curry giving you him, like, cool.
Absolutely.
Do it and run.
The X factor, so it'll be defense again. Is that going to take this year? Are they going to fix it? So that's a fairly easy one to identify. Then the second one I had as an X factor was Porzingis, because Porzingis last year, if you remember, ended up playing like me, which is just hang out around the 3-point line, wait for the ball to come and just shoot it. So you can call him Tom Porzingis, because that's what I do. But then the interesting part will be to see if Jason Kidd is going to manage to integrate Porzingis into that 5 and get him to play differently, maybe get him to play in the paint, like closer to the basket. That's the tall guy. That's what he should be. Not anymore, but
because he's never played as a center or
no, center
against basket, right? Like he needs to be closer to basket, play like a PF.
Yeah,
he's gonna say, I'm basically made Giannis what he is today. What I want you to do is handle the ball the whole time. Luka, go and stand in the corner.
Corner too.
Point Porzingis, right?
Yeah.
And tell him to stop shooting threes completely. Like never shoot another 3.
Yeah,
that was the Giannis package.
Giannis package, get in the paint. Dunk it. So my prediction.
I'm a unicorn all the way down.
Unicorn. Yeah. Prediction time, I'm going to see them slide out of the top 5 because as I mentioned, the starting 5, it's pretty weak and the West is it's top heavy this year. It's like the top 5-6 teams are fairly all on the same level to me. So I think I'll see them 6, 7, 8 around that spot. I think they'll make the playoffs. if they're having a bad year, then maybe they're playing. But I think 6, 7, 8, more towards 7 and 8 than 6. To be fair, let's go 8. Let's go 8. Bang.
Oh damn! They went from more 6 or 7 to now definitely 8.
Okay, they go 8.
Screw them.
Yeah, it can go either way, right? Like the players can really buy into Kid and be like energized and stuff like that. Luka could take a leap even further. God knows what that looks like.
I'm willing to go out on that's 2.
Hey, nothing messed up. That was smooth. That was smooth.
Oh, that was intentional.
That was intentional.
You're changing angles like
welcome.
You change ball gowns at award shows.
Yeah, exactly.
That's a big coaching downgrade in my opinion. Maybe Kids improved like under the tutelage of LeBron, but apparently he's already had like them doing multiple post-ups in their offense, and they had the best offense ever under Carlisle. So we'll see. But I wouldn't hold your breath.
I think I'm just basing it on like there was reports out that like Carlisle kind of lost the locker room and stuff like that, and people
lost Luka
buying into it. So but I mean, there's no doubt like Carlisle is a freaking great coach.
Yeah, I
think it's more a question of Jason Kidd might be this kind of guy as a former player, somebody that can talk to the players and maybe they can identify more to what he's talking about in terms of tactics.
You
not
should
the
leave
same
that to someone else.
Right? Yeah, leave that to somebody else. But maybe he's one of those guys that will make the transition between who's on the floor with the guys on the bench. So I don't know, but I'm with you. I think it's a bit of a downgrade, but we'll see.
Yeah. Which brings us to everyone's favorite second team, Jose, with the Portland Trail Blazers.
Yes.
Talking about downgrades. It's just that the Blazers, they just moved a lot, but they didn't get anything out of it. Like out, Zach Collins, Canter, who went to Boston, obviously, but he was free agent. Melo, who wants to win a championship, but went to the Lakers. Derek Jones Jr. and Harry Giles. Most important ones, Quinn Cook, Marquise Trees, free agent, Dennis Smith, Tony Snell, Cody Zeller, Macklemore, and Larry Nance Jr. So
the rapper Macklemore, that's banging.
Yes.
It's gonna be fire in the locker room.
I mean, this is obviously still Dame's team. If you see the starting lineup, it's pretty much the same except for Melo gone. So Lillard, McCollum, Norman Powell, Robert Covington, and Nurkic. Nurkic, I think, is super solid. CJ, still solid. Lillard, obviously solid. But how long are we gonna keep Lillard, playing on his own out there, making all the good shots? Still not defending, but making all the good shots. And that's the X factor. The X factor is you didn't add any value to this team. So after 3 years of not adding value to this team, maybe the best move that they made was Melo a couple of years ago, which was mid-season, right? It was mid-season.
Yeah. He was out of the league.
There you go. So that was the best move they made a couple of years ago. And since then, you need to surround, Dame with better players, or he's going to want to leave. He said it himself, I'm still in Portland. He said, I'm still in Portland. So I see them going down, man. They finished 6th last year. 6th or 5th? 5th, right? 5th. 6th. Sorry.
6.
42 and 30.
Yeah.
I see them going down. Maybe making the play, and I think it's gonna be hard for them this year. It's just, how do you keep this guy motivated?
Yep.
And that's a big problem. So
then a different team.
Yeah.
Bring some great players to play
I
on
mean,
the team. Yeah, I mean,
Yeah, like Ben Simmons.
like Ben
They,
Simmons.
they
exactly.
brought Larry Nance Jr., who is, son of a champion of the dunk
Dunk
champion.
contest, baby.
That's
And,
it.
and he's a decent player. He's a good player, but he doesn't. He's just not going to move the needle. Like he is what they need, but he's not big enough of a difference to make a huge difference for them. That outside of him, like a lot of those moves sound like downgrades to me. I am curious who you guys have filled these spots with, because not all of these teams can drop. But I think I have one team in mind that might be getting bumped up. Hey, might be getting bumped up. Here we are.
What do you do for the Blazers, like GM and stuff? Like, do you
blow it up, man?
Exactly.
Fuck, done this 3 years ago. God damn it!
No, Mike. This was a conversation in the very first season that we did this on the podcast.
Yeah.
Every fucking year.
There's 2 teams, Sixers and Blazers. Just blow it out. Blow it up every year. No, but okay, let's not say blow it up, but like, do you trade Lillard knowing that you can get a few good assets in return and then build maybe like a longer roster? Like, do you know what I mean? Like more quality players in return? Or do you keep going the same way and then, okay, we keep Lillard and then maybe we trade away CJ McCollum and then trying to get... Because it seems to me like they've got an okay-ish starting 5, but
that's
then
the
rest
problem.
is super light, right?
That's the problem. CJ's age and Nurkic's age, they're both 30, right? Yeah. So their value, like really the time to trade them was a year or 2 ago, when you could still say they're in their prime and you can get some good stuff for them and you sort of recycle the core of the team. As it is now, they're just not going to fetch enough as non-all-star players that are very good in the West. CJ's contract is pretty big for someone in his role. Not big as a second option, but big in the sense that he's not an all-star, but he pretty much has an all-star or all-NBA kind of pay packet. And that makes him difficult to trade in a similar way to Ben Simmons, right? Ben Simmons is an all-star on paper, but I don't know if you can get all-star value for him. And it's the same thing for CJ and the same thing for Nurkic. I don't know. Like, you could trade Dame Lillard for another star. I don't know who that star is that would want out, but you could trade him for another star. But then you're just in the same position with a different person at the helm, right? I don't think anyone's going to lead them better than Dame has. So I guess you go the other way, trade all 3, get some assets, baby.
I know. That's what I would be doing. I'd be going, well, as I said, it's what I would have done 2 or 3 years ago. Because they've missed the boat on McCollum. Like, I don't think, as Dave was saying, I don't think you get anywhere near what you would have before. I think before you could have got a good solid player and like a draft pick, whereas now, are you even going to get a solid player?
No,
we'll see. So I would be blown out, but they're just not going to. I think they're happy with mediocrity. Basically, that's how it comes across. Like, they're happy scraping into the playoffs every year and then blowing out in the first round.
For the best. Yeah.
It's sad to see it happen to basically.
Yeah, one of the 10 best players in the league. And if you didn't see it already, we put out our top 10 players 2 weeks ago. Run out and listen on your FM dial. Which brings us to another team, which is going to be moving on up. It's my LA Lakers, baby. I'm back.
Well, I'll be back in 4 minutes then.
Don't worry, it will not be all positive because we signed Russell Westbrook.
Yeah.
The Lakers changed their whole team. So buckle up, guys, or get a book ready. Whatever you normally do to relax during a long journey.
Dude, why don't you go with the players that stayed? It's faster. Then we just guess the rest.
LeBron, Anthony Davis, THT re-signed. That's it. Everyone else is new. So in came Russell Westbrook, Carmelo Anthony, Trevor Ariza, Kent Bazemore, Wayne Ellington, Dwight Howard came back, Malik Monk, Kendrick Nunn, Sean D. Brown. I don't know if he's made the roster yet. Rondo's back, and we signed DeAndre Jordan.
Was the job advert just like, are you over 30? Do you want a title?
Yeah.
Over 35, sorry.
The roster rating is old out of 10. And going out, we had Kentavious Caldwell Pope. I miss him already.
He was good.
I already miss him.
Good. Yeah.
Montrezl Harrell, Kyle Kuzma. It's one of our kids, the last Laker kid, man. Marc Gasol, Andre Drummond, Ben McLemore. Can we go back? Markieff Morris, the GOAT, Caruso, and Dennis Schroeder. Who became one of the few players to play for the Lakers and the Celtics. Back to back. So yeah, lots of change, lots of upheaval. Lakers wanted to get more athletic at the center position, having done the Marc Gasol experiment. What else? More defenders, but I think more importantly, more shooting and more ball handling. This team has more ball handlers than the Lakers have had since LeBron's first season, where they went with a bunch of playmakers. And then they got a bunch of veterans, as Ron Artest calls them, at the end of their prime. They're just at the end of their prime. That's all. They're not old. That's what he said. Yeah, I'm just concerned with some of the spacing, and then just Westbrook's fit next to LeBron. The hope is that he can carry the offense when LeBron's off the floor, but as two star players, they're going to have to share the floor for most of the time that they're out there. And so far he hasn't been able to develop any kind of chemistry with his teammates, which is understandable, right? They've just had practices and a few preseason games. I think he's played in 2 of the 3 so far. But in that second one in particular, he had 9 turnovers. He had like double his assist output in turnovers. 9.
Nice.
9.
Lovely assist to turnover ratio.
Yeah.
Oh, it was
negative.
9.
I mean, if you look at it from another point of view, he might still get a triple double this season, but turnovers part of it, right?
Yeah.
Like 10 assists, 10 turnovers, 10 technical
points.
fouls. I don't know.
Maybe. I don't know. Who knows? Blocks against. And he's not an awful player. He's a very good player, but again, just fit. And it does. He had a slow start at Washington. He had a slow start in Houston. So some people have said this is just him getting used to where his teammates are and stuff like that. And then once he gets used to the system, then he's able to find his spots and find his men. But I'm a little bit skeptical as to whether this is going to be a positive experiment for the team. So that is my X factor, is whether Westbrook works out. Secondly, it's DMP old. Can the Lakers stay healthy enough? Ariza's already gone down with an injury. The youngest player on the team, THT, has picked up an injury. He's getting surgery on his thumb. So, I mean, now the team is just DNP old. We're gonna have to wait and see whether Malik Monk and Kendrick Nunn can step in and provide some youth and energy, because his team definitely needs it. But we shall see.
It was a great pickup, though. To be fair, that was a good.
He's been good as well. Like, Monk's been making his shots, and there's this thing that Lakers fans always say, that shooters are great until they get to the Lakers, and then they just can't shoot anymore. It's happened with so many players over the years. Reggie Bullock, who's that other guy? I forget his name, but yeah,
Frankly,
it happens over and over and over and over again. So yeah, as far as where they'll finish, I think they'll move up in terms of the regular season. I think they should get past the first round. I think they'll go as far as LeBron and AD can carry them. But it would just be interesting to see how they sort of manage Westbrook if he isn't on his game. Will they be
regular season? I think they're going to be great regular season.
It's going to be fun to watch them play. But I'm just a bit concerned about their injuries. Same, it's just so much fun to see all these players together. It's like watching 2012 All-Star game, right? But yeah, I think they're definitely making the playoffs. Like I see them in a fourth, maybe third position, but then we'll see what happens. How well do they get to this playoffs, like physically?
I'm just concerned about them adapting to the pace, because you said spacing would be weird, right? But like, it feels like the NBA right now is just going 100 miles an hour and chucking as many threes as you can, and they're going the complete different opposite direction. It's like we got a bunch of old guys, old legs.
But they're also still playing in the league, right? So they've obviously adapted to this kind of play. Most of the teams they still do that.
Absolutely, but it's just they've got so many of those guys that are over the
they're all together
in terms of age, and it's like,
and
if you had a bunch of young guys around that'd be like, okay, fine, sure. Like you can use their experience if it's a tight game and in the playoffs, and that's fine. But like they're all old.
No, you're absolutely right. And if you look at
what shape,
if you look at the potential starting lineup of Westbrook, take your pick of two guard, whether that's Kendrick Nunn, whether that's Malik Monk, whether that's Wayne Ellington, who hasn't been able to make his threes. He was like 45% last year, and now he's 0%. One of those guys who will be the injection of pace along with Westbrook. Then you have LeBron, AD, and potentially DeAndre Jordan. In terms of getting up and down the floor, I know AD runs. He's more athletic than his position. He'll make it up and down. LeBron can obviously still get up and down. But then you have DeAndre plodding and like 1 3-point shooter out of all of those names. So that's definitely a concern. There are shooters off the bench, but as it stands, that is.
I'm getting a strange vibe of that Malone, Steve Nash, Lakers. Do you remember that season?
Both teams? Malone and Nash never played.
Who
was with Nash then? Who was it?
Nash, Gasol, Dwight, Artest.
Oh, that's the one that didn't work out.
Nash was the only really old one there that played like 5 games.
That's the roster that didn't work out, or am I confusing it with the Karl Malone one? No, the Karl Malone
also didn't work.
The Karl Malone one made the finals.
Made the finals, yeah. But that's the Steve Nash one I had in mind, yeah. For some reason, I think he played with Karl Malone. I don't know. That's the kind of a vibe, like a preseason vibe I'm getting. I'm like, a bunch of stars.
They also lost all their preseason games. And we were just it's the preseason. And then they lost all of their regular season games.
I don't pay too much attention to those preseason games. I wouldn't.
Cool. All right. We've got to move on. So next up, we have Mike with the Memphis Grizzlies.
Grizzlies, not as active as the Lakers in the offseason. Few are. So big people going out. We had Valanciunas going out and Grayson Allen. Coming in, we had Steven Adams and Culver. So that was a bit of a shocker to me. Memphis actually had loads of player movement, but it was a bunch of guys that came in and then went straight back out. I think Bledsoe was one of those guys.
Rondo.
Like Carson,
Marc Gasol.
Marc Gasol. Yeah. So, but in actual terms, that's who left. That's who's still around for now. We'll see what happens. Cut Adams before the season. So it was weird because of how well Valanciunas played in the play-in tournament. Like I thought they were looking great with him, so that was a bit of a weird one for me. As a starting five, what I've got it now is Morant, Dylan Brooks, who was great in the play as well, Kyle Anderson, Triple J coming back, which would be great, and then Steven Adams. When you put it down on paper like that, I think that looks like an absolute defensive juggernaut of a starting five. So that's going to be really interesting to me, and like sort of tied into that is Triple J's development. I think if Jackson is, because I think he had a down year last year because he was injured, he was in and out and things like that. I think if he's coming back, Adams could be there to sort of help him like develop as well. That could be like a huge sort of turning point for the team. So I've got them staying in the play-in tournament. I think they've got a very shallow team. As I said, like a bunch of the guys that they got in went straight out the door. They had some decent draft picks, but nobody sort of special. Zaire Williams, I think, was their top guy. So I can't see it being that different from last year. If anything, they've got a little bit worse. But I think that you're getting Jared Jackson back. I think Morant could get a bit better. We've got to see what could happen with him. I think for the regular season, he's going to be great, but I think you got a bit exposed once you can sort of plan for his game. So yeah, I think solid playing for me.
Yeah, I would expect so. Although they could like potentially challenge some of these other teams, it's just that they don't have the same top end talent, right? They don't have Dame, they don't have Luka, but I think they have a slightly deeper roster than those teams, so that kind of makes up for it. They'll be in the same ballpark.
Only slightly. Like the roster is like, once he gets past the certain five, it's kind of.
Some of their second year players I like though. A couple of those guys that came off the bench last year.
I think they obviously have a clear idea of what they want to do around Morant, and they want to keep him happy and just build a team around him. Just think that if this kid, because he's still considered a very young kid, has a breakout season this season, more players are going to want to play with him, right? So Memphis, I mean, it's quite happy with that. So yeah, fine.
I mean, I honestly think that Jared Jackson could be a good contender for most improved.
Wow. Okay.
Off the back of the injury, potentially.
Yeah,
that could happen. But also apparently Ja Morant has started shooting pull-up threes a lot. Seems like that's the wrinkle he's trying to add to his game. So if he can shoot those at a good clip, then he's going to be a real freaking problem.
Yeah.
That would be a game changer for him, definitely.
Yeah. All right. We zip over to a team that weirdly should have been in that 8th spot. They got swapped out during the play-in. The Golden State Warriors.
Lots to say with them. Let's go first with who they brought in. They drafted 2 players, Jonathan Kuninga and Moses Moody. They got Otto Porter Jr. from the Magic, Bielitsa and Iguodala from the Heat, and Chris Chioza. I don't know how you said that.
Yep, that's right,
Chioza. Players out: Kane Bazemore, who now is on the retirement team from the Lakers. Kelly Oubre Jr. is on the Hornets. Eric Pascal, we mentioned him going to the Jazz. Nico Magnon, the Italian ginger. Freaking, I love his style. I love his looks. Went to Italy.
Yeah, that was surprising, wasn't it?
But he's Italian. So I think
he played in college in the US. So I'm interested, like, what happened there?
Well, he went to Bologna, who's got a bunch of cash to burn this year, and they wanted to win the Euro Cup or something.
Maybe he got some pressure from the mafia or something.
No, I think they're trying to build a big team to get into the Euro League, so they spent their cash on him. Funny enough, he picked up a virus over in Japan and lost a bunch of weight. So there was pictures of him, but on the bench looking absolutely thin, but like not looking good at all. But he's back to fine now. It's been a month out. Anyway, and they lost another guy who went also to Europe. Last season, they finished just outside? They finished 9th, right? No playoffs, 39 and 33 was their record. And then in terms of stats, I remember, like, weirdly enough, they were the 20th offense. Well, weirdly enough, not really, and the 5th defense, which is not what you really think about with the Warriors these days.
Draymond, baby, Draymond.
Yeah, you'd think they'll be more wide open than anybody else. They got a cute starting five, which is Steph Curry, Jordan Poole, who is right now one of the favorite to win MVP of the season.
Yeah,
because he played 2 good preseason games. But hey, oh god, Wiggins, Green, and Looney, and then they've got Klay Thompson, who's allegedly coming back fairly soon, which again transitioning into X Factor, and that will be what shape is Klay Thompson going to be once he's back, allegedly again in November. But knowing them, I think they might actually put him on the floor, like, once
tomorrow.
they open the league, like tomorrow. Yeah, I think it's because they finished kind of strong with Steph last year. Like he went on the tear at some point and started shooting and
Finished very strong.
Like he went god level at some point.
Yeah. Steph was Steph again. Yeah.
Yeah, Steph was Steph again, and then he reminded everyone that he wasn't finished at all. So if we keep the same, if Curry keeps that level going, and if Klay comes back, and then you add Jordan Poole, that could be like a third
Splash brother.
Yeah. Who was it? I was listening to somebody a podcast. It's like the Splash Brothers playing with a guy named Poole. It's just absolutely amazing. You guys, like, your marketing campaign's already done there. Swimming Pool Brothers or whatever. So it's that, yeah, you can get again, depending on what shape Klay is and depending on what Jordan Poole you get, is he going to get the same minutes? Is he going to shoot as much? We don't know. I kind of want to believe in them. I think they'll finish 8th. Again, all depending. Like if Klay comes back to Klay levels, they could go higher than that. They could be the surprise team. They are extremely light in terms of the rotation. Like it's just not there. If I just go back quickly on they've got Bradley, who's former Lakers, to play point guard. Jordan Poole, Klay Thompson, I would say Wiggins, and then the wing is pretty. I mean, I know you got Otto Porter and Iguodala, but that's still, what state is he?
I mean, what's Iggy gonna really
Iggy, like what Iggy are we getting again?
Yeah.
Draymond Green.
He got crossed up by THT.
Saw that.
It was real bad. He gave him the pat. Turned him around.
Stand in the middle of it.
Yeah, go on. Sorry.
But then at
right.
center they're pretty light because Looney and Wiseman. I mean, Wiseman is going into his 2nd season. He's got potential, but no. Yes, I don't know.
Do you know health wise if he's back already or if he's coming back?
He's back. He's meant to be back already. I can look that up. But I think he is already. I think the only injury they've got at the moment is just Klay. And
okay.
Well, in his shape, I think. Yeah, I'm buying into them to finish like 7th, maybe. Again,
I've got higher. I think that they had like a real season of 2 halves last year. They were trying it out with the young guys, with Wiseman specifically, and realized that it wasn't working with him and that he wasn't quite ready to take on what they needed him to.
Yeah.
And after they switched that, they played really, really well. They played much better than where they finished.
Yeah.
So that's why I think that they might finish higher. I do hope that Wiseman's been able to sort of improve. I was listening to something where they were saying he had a really short college career. I think got shortened by injury or getting knocked out.
No, it was controversy around cash considerations and stuff. They were saying Penny Hardaway gave him gifts, donations.
It's true that you're right that the Warriors had a like their season was really like too complete. Like they started absolutely horrible, and I think because wasn't Curry injured at the start of it, or he was
no, Draymond was.
Or Draymond, like it was just Curry on his own or something, and I think they must have gone. Okay,
They got just pounded by 40 over and over again.
Yes, I think they just went. You know what? Let's just give up. Just play a little bit of Curry, and then.
As soon as they put Wiseman on the bench, like they had Wiseman starting. As soon as they put him on the bench, that's when things flipped around. It's bad, but it's really as stark as that.
It was Wiseman and Kelly Oubre.
Yes. Sorry,
he had a poor start to the season as well.
So I don't know. I believe.
Oh yeah.
I think they'll move up as well.
I think they'll be all right. Yeah, I see them fourth or fifth. I see them like. You asked Dave earlier which team would I move up, and it's definitely the Golden State Warriors. Steph is back in full force, after last year, and if you have like half a Klay Thompson, that already makes this team so much better.
Yeah, massively. Just getting back for the playoffs, man.
So after the Warriors, we have the San Antonio Spurs. They're not the go. They're not the go.
Goes down. So massive changes in the Spurs. Obviously, at the end of the season already. At the end of last season, LaMarcus Aldridge left, so we're not gonna consider him as an out. But obviously we lost Gorgie Dieng, Trey Lyles, free agency. Patty Mills went to the Nets, also as a free agent. Rudy Gay went to the Jazz, and DeMar DeRozan went to the Bulls. And right there you have 5 really good experienced players, with the exception of let's say Trey Lyles and Dieng, but Rudy Gay and DeMar DeRozan, obviously 2 of the most important players. Patty Mills, best 6 man or one of the best 6 man in the league, and so with Patty Mills being out, like officially there's no more players from that 2014 championship, which was the last one.
I was going to say no one there that played with Tim Duncan even.
Yeah. Patty Mills, he had a great season. If you remember that game 5 against the Heat, he scored like 3 pointers in a row. Anyway, so a lot of players came in as well. We drafted the youngest player in the draft class, which is Josh Primo. That was a surprise for a lot of people, especially because the Spurs don't really need more guards. But I see it as a player that the Spurs want to develop, and the Spurs have traditionally done that with many players. So I see it as a promising young player. He's up for learning, and he already said that if he needs to play a couple of games with the G League team, he'll do it. Like it's fine. I think like the Spurs kind of like they draft players because they're talented, but also because of their personalities in a way. They have to match their personality, the character of the organization. So Doug McDermott, free agent, I think it's a great addition. Thaddeus Young via trade, Aminu via trade, not bad at all either. Zach Collins, free agent. Brim Forbes came back from Milwaukee, but also as a free agent. Weiskamp is our other draft pick, and John Glandale from the Australian national team.
Hey.
I think he had a great
Olympics.
So I don't know if he's ready for the NBA, but once again, this is the Spurs. Anything could happen.
Don't doubt Pop.
So the best addition that the team had is signing Manu as an advisor for the team. So Manu is back. Manu's back, baby.
Back in the building.
And there's already rumors that Pop might retire after this season. and that Duncan or Ginobili are in the pipeline to be the replacement. I don't think they should take over. I think it should be Beck Hammond.
Yeah.
But I mean, having them on the team is great, obviously, because they're the winners, right? And they know what the organization is like. So if you look at their starting lineup, it's obviously DeJounte Murray, great player, solid. Derek White, I think, still lacks that explosion, but has been solid. Doug McDermott, I think, should be at the small forward. Keldon Johnson and Portal. So Jakob Portal, obviously, really good defender, not so much of a scorer. Yeah. Correct. I think Keldon Johnson might have a breakout season, could have a breakout season, has the potential. And the leader of this team is going to be DeJounte Murray. So the X factor is rebuilding. I think by Patty Mills leaving the team, we have finally accepted and embraced the rebuilding. However, if you think of rebuilding and look at other teams that are rebuilding, so compare the Spurs to the Detroit Pistons or the Oklahoma City Thunder or the Houston Rockets, and the Houston Rockets have a superstar, the Spurs still look better because of their solid players all around, you know. So we're not going to be last, we're not going to be first, but we might fight for a playing position, you know. So I think it's a really good place to start a rebuild, if you know what I mean. Like, it's like we're not the worst team with all the draft picks. We have some good players that can help build a team in a couple of years. So I think, you know, we might surprise a couple of people and make the play-ins like 10th, you know, 9th maybe. And that's where I see them. Maybe, you know, if we don't make it, it'll be like just 11th or 12th, but we'll be around there.
Yeah, I'm not buying it. I'm not buying the play.
I'm gonna buy into Mike's comment. I'm not buying. So I'm buying.
Fair enough. I'm super biased, so you know.
To be fair though, I have said that you should never count out Pop and the Spurs. So
count them out. Count them out. It's over.
It might be time. It might be time. But it looked like, as you said, it looked like to me that they've kind of admitted it themselves that it's time to get a good draft pick and go from there, right?
Fair enough.
Yeah, I mean, all their good players are in the same spots as you said, Jose. So they are a great candidate to pull off a trade. But the problem with the Spurs is the Spurs never make trades. They don't do it. So if they just continue to sit on all of these guards, I don't see them making any kind of headway in either direction, to be honest. Either getting worse or getting better. But yeah,
isn't that part of the plan though, to weirdly prepare the after Pop, as in like, I'm gonna hand over that team to, I guess, Becky Hammond rather than Tim Duncan or Ginobili, and say, look, the team is average. It's not the worst team in the Western Conference, but it's not like you might get into the playing tournament, but you're not going to be playing with the Rockets or the Wolves, right?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, it's an average team, so you can build upon that, if you will.
Yeah,
like, you're not going to start with an absolute shitter of a
that's
roster,
absolutely right. That's absolutely right. I think that's what it looks like it is, you know, because again, it's not the worst team, by far not the worst team in the NBA. You know, so to get really good draft picks, you need to have the worst team,
exactly,
right? And the Spurs do not seem to have the worst team. At least on paper, it doesn't become the worst team.
Yeah.
Well, they flattened the odds quite a bit, so you can actually do better than what it used to be, at least, right?
You can spring up to the top. Hey, They did tank in '97, didn't they? Tank.
Worked out all right.
They got a good player out of it.
Really? I don't know. Next up, we have the New Orleans Pelicans. That's me. I'm pretty low on this team. I'm gonna come straight out the gate with it. They made some transactions. Bledsoe went out, as we mentioned already. For some reason, I didn't have that. Oh, that's why. I have that whole trade somewhere else. But yeah, Bledsoe went out. Adams went out in that same trade. And they lost Lonzo Ball to free agency. Satoransky came in, Garrett Temple came in, Devontae Graham came in, James Johnson came in, and they signed rookie Trey Murphy. He's a shooter. He's been gunning in the preseason. So it looks like he's going to get some serious minutes off the bench. But the rest of this roster around Zion, I just don't believe in it. It's a myth. Devontae Graham's likely to start at point guard. He's another gunner. And I think they'll put the ball in Zion's hands still. And then he's just there to score off of that, off of those open looks, which he can do, but he can't defend. Zion can't defend. Although
he has to be on the court first to actually play.
They say he's gonna be there for the start of the regular season. He had surgery a few months ago.
Yes.
But yeah, he's expected to miss preseason and then be ready to go on the start of the regular season. They brought back Josh Hart, who's a nice role player, but bringing in Valanciunas helps. He can stretch the floor a little bit. He takes the odd jump shot. He's an upgrade over Adams on offense for sure. He's not the best defender, but he's also not the worst defender. He's a big body. He knows where to be in position-wise. And as long as he can stay out of foul trouble on both ends of the court, he's a nice big body to have. But they haven't gone and gotten like the perfect big to play with Zion yet. And Zion cannot play center on the defensive end. So that's still an issue. And then defense is still going to be an issue. It was an issue under Gentry. It was an issue under Van Gundy, and it's going to continue to be an issue now. And I still don't think the offense is going to be great enough to carry the team where it needs to go. So I can see this team missing the play-in again. And if they do that with Zion's contract up at the end of the season,
blow it up.
It's going to be, it could get ugly. It could get ugly. It has come around quickly, hasn't it? That's what happens when you miss most of your rookie season.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's the X factor for me. It's have they done enough to keep Zion happy? Or will they do enough during the regular season to keep Zion happy? And I don't think they have. So yes, it's a bleak situation over there in New Orleans. They never should have let Lonzo go. He's thriving over in Chicago.
Going down.
They can't keep big names. They can't keep potential. Like they couldn't hold on to AD. They couldn't hold, like they can't seem to hold on to Zion. It's like
just merge with the Portland Trailblazers, right? We'll get half a team.
Aren't there like rumors of them moving to Seattle actually to become the Sonics again?
It's not likely just because the NFL team that's in New Orleans is owned by the same people. So it's kind of a thing where they own the professional teams in that area. So that they have no reason to sell up basically. That's been to the detriment because they care a lot more about the NFL team. There was a while back where they shared a medical staff between the two teams, and there was a bunch of injuries at the Pelicans. So when you see Drew Holiday, Eric Gordon, Anthony Davis, Tyreek Evans, and you're like, they're all injury prone, it's like, yeah, this is why.
True.
So yeah, that's the situation. It doesn't look good, man. It does not look good.
They're going down.
I think my only hope for them is they kind of figured out how to use Zion to the max towards the end. If he's going to be hampered, then they're done. So
I don't think that's going to be the case. I think he'll play. Obviously, I don't expect him to play all 82, but even if he plays all 82, like that team around him isn't good enough.
No.
It's just
I mean,
not.
you can't tell me that this team is better than Spurs. Come on.
Zion puts them over the top.
Zion because
Ingram
it's
is
fun.
still there as well. Like,
Brandon
Yeah,
Ingram's
Ingram's
still
still
there.
Fair enough.
But Zion had a monster season last year. Like
Oh, yeah.
before he it's like nobody looked at him, but like his numbers are just phenomenal.
Yeah,
Yeah.
super efficient.
Super efficient. Like,
But he
and
has
he's
Lonzo as well. Give him the ball, man.
yeah, true. But
Less so later on.
Yeah, I don't know. That I think what was strange to me is if it feels like there's Zion on one side and then the rest of the franchise on the other hand. It's like they don't talk to each other, and it feels like Zion is doing whatever he wants. In a way, like surely there's somebody on the staff that went, oh, dude, you got to lose some weight in terms of muscles and in terms of because his body shape is kind of weird because like he's top heavy and then he's got
Johnny Bravo.
Yeah. It's like a Charles Barkley, but like triple XL Charles Barkley, like massive. I don't know if it's all pure muscle. I have no idea. But he needs to get lighter. Do you remember like LeBron when he went to Miami? Then he suddenly got lean. That's the sort of stuff he's got to do. He's got to work on reshaping his body.
Yeah.
Because he's the style of play. Like he broke a shoe, he broke a foot, he broke a knee. Like clearly the problem is with the legs, and he can't sustain that weight. And I think once they look into that and get him to understand that he needs to probably go that way, then he'll be a problem. But right now I'm scared. Every time I see him play, I'm like, those ACL. I have no idea how they're still there.
I think it's hard to do when you're that young though, and he is crazy.
Sure,
he's still growing into his body.
How old is he now? Is he 21? No.
He will be 21 this season, I think. No way, he should be 21, right? 19, 20, 21. Yeah.
But yeah, shout out to Patrice.
Flamed him up last year. Flamed him up. Next up.
Born in 2000.
Oh my God. Millennium baby.
This makes me sad. Good for him.
So that brings us to the Sacramento Kings. Move them up.
They're still in the NBA? Oh wow.
Yeah. So not too active. The players going out were DeLon Wright and Hassan Whiteside, who that's where he was apparently. Guys coming in, they had Tristan Thompson. Couldn't really see many others. They got a new guard in, Davion Mitchell, another point guard, which was interesting considering that they've got Fox and Halliburton already there.
Yeah.
So it seems like a problem. But yeah, so not too much movement. They did sort of develop last year, but it still seems like kind of far from where they need to be honest with you. Halliburton's interesting, but Hield sort of got back to shooting really well by the end of the season. But there's just not enough there really. Fox just didn't take the leap that I think people were kind of hoping that he would. He's kind of settled as like a good player, but not like a all-star. Starting lineup, I've got like Fox, Halliburton, Buddy Hield, Harrison Barnes, and Rashawn Holmes. Not super confident on that. Bagley could come in for Holmes. Tristan Thompson could be in there too. But I don't know. I think the player development is going to be their biggest sort of thing. In particular, sort of Fox and Halliburton. See how that pans out. They could have a trade in there as well if they want to try and balance up that sort of that roster. That would kind of make sense. But I don't know what you really do there. I'm not really sure which way you would go with that if you'd get rid of Fox or not. Kind of go like big potential on the other guys if they feel like he's maxed out at where he is.
I mean, the talk was of Harrison Barnes being moved, and then they almost traded Hield for some of those pieces that we traded Westbrook for. That got nixed at the end.
It just wouldn't make sense to me. Like Healed, like towards the back end of last season again, like he showed himself to be like a really good 3-point shooter. Everybody in the league is dying to have really good 3-point. So unless you're gonna get something back that really helps you out, like he's worth hanging on to.
Yeah, but I think the core pieces are Fox and Halliburton there, and then now they have Mitchell as a guard off the bench, who's an excellent defender. He's shown during the preseason that he can score some as well. And I don't think they really liked playing Healed at the 3. Defensively, he's just not strong enough. He's not good enough to play defense at the 2 either, which is why he comes off the bench a lot. But they're not confident of him playing the 3. So you then have this issue where you have 2 backcourts, right? 2 young-ish backcourts in Fox, Halliburton, and then Davion Mitchell and Buddy Hield. So I think that's where they saw that as an opportunity to move him on.
He is not that young, by the way. I found out that.
Yeah, he's not. He was an old rookie. So he's what, 28? 28. Yeah, I think he was 25 as a rookie. And so that was one piece they were going to move. Also, Harrison Barnes was another player that was shopped around a little bit, but they weren't able to move. And then they really wanted to keep Richaun Holmes. He developed into a decent player last season with his floater game, which is well spoken about. But yeah, it's just that front court that they really want to try and get someone there who can be a big difference maker. Because they missed on that Bagley pick. They're in a tough spot because they're almost too good to get a really bad draft pick and so they're not good enough to get someone that would really be difference maker for them, unless they hit on a slightly later pick.
That's what I was just thinking. Like they're just in a really awkward place at the moment where they've been tanking and they've not really got good enough talent to progress. Yeah,
it feels like they've been tanking and they've been piling up those allegedly, potentially quite strong players. Like they've got a bunch of names on there that I'm like, oh wow, I remember when they got drafted, like they were super, like a little bit of hype around all those guys, but then they never seem to be able to transition into
great players,
better inside or gel together. There's always seemed to be one guy that wants out and one guy that wants. So I don't know. It's a weird team, the Kings.
I think they shot themselves in the foot when they took on Harrison Barnes. Like if that's like the big free agent that you're going to pull in, because that's when they were sort of starting to build like a little bit of excitement. Look, we're turning the corner. Sacramento, you can get people to move to Sacramento. Like I think they could have waited. They could have sort of kept their powder dry and gone for a bigger free agent, maybe.
Maybe not. I don't know. But that's where they're at. So where do you have them? Where do you have them finishing, Mike?
Out. Surprisingly, not in the plane.
Not Relegate. In the league.
Out the league,
yeah. Which brings us to our next team. Back to the top. Back to the Tom.
Yay.
Minnesota Timberwolves.
Wow. You ready? Timberwolves. It's another weird one because they, on paper, should be better than what they produce, and they never do. Right. It's unbelievably weird, the situation over there. So last season they finished 31-41, which was what they finished 13th. You would think with Cat and Russell on the roster, that's a good 1-5 combination. That's usually the basis of a basketball team. It's like that's how you used to build them. When 90s. You played good basketball in the 90s.
I'm thinking like
before Zion was born.
When Zion was born, it was acceptable in the 2000s.
Acceptable.
Players in Taurean Prince, Pat Beverly, and Leandro Bolmaro. Yeah. Was he in Barcelona? Yeah, that's okay. Out Ricky Rubio.
Sad times.
Couldn't happen to a better guy to go from a crap team on the West to go to a crap team on the East.
The worst team in this.
Feel bad for him, man.
I feel so bad. So he's on the Cavs now. Culver and Hernan Gomez. One of the two. Hernan Gomez's brother is out. So I don't know. Don't ask me which one.
Pancho.
Grizzlies, Juancho, yeah. But I don't know. I don't know which is which. I don't know what they do. X Factor. They are one of the smallest team in the league. They are on average 6'6".
Wow.
Which is 1.98 for people who don't know what 6'6" is. 6'6" is Michael Jordan's size. That's why I know it's 198.
Interesting.
So they will allegedly struggle with rebounding, in theory, because they're small.
Sure.
That's it. But no, they've got a bunch of stuff to improve. They were horrible on defense last year. They were 25th, and on offense they were 11th. So okay-ish. Obviously, if you look at the starting five, though, if you look at the team, it's not that bad. Like I still wonder how are they so low in the Western Conference. Like they've got Russell, Malik Beasley. And then they've got Anthony Edwards, who was he? No, he wasn't Rookie of the Year, but he finished second. But he
had a good rookie season.
Yeah, they got McDaniels, power forward, and then Cat as center. But then the bench is okay. You know, they brought in Pat Beverly now as a point guard off the bench. You know, why not?
There's a defense right there, right?
Yeah, it's quite the polar opposite of what D'Angelo Russell brings. They've got Bolmaro now as a second small guard, and then they've got the wing is a bit. Well, they've got Josh Okogie actually. That's pretty good. To get some minutes after just right behind Edwards. Power forward is a bit light. McDaniels, Vanderbilt there, and then Naz Reid as a backup for Towns. So
front court is buoy.
Yeah. So. They're okay. There's potential there, and then they have some drama. Obviously, they fired Roses just the start of the season, which they were like, "What are you guys doing?"
Have new owners.
Yeah, but it was meant to create chaos, but apparently it's done quite the opposite. They were expecting Towns to. Well, that's why I read that Towns was expected to hand in his transfer request, and then actually he went, I'm all good. I don't care. They do what they want.
I think it just looks like these guys are just like having so much fun. They're all young, They're enjoying their free plane rides and playing a lot of Fortnite.
Yeah. Like D'Angelo is literally Towns' friend. It's like, yay, friends, same team.
BFFs.
We're not leaving.
Got a bunch of PS5s in the hotel room waiting. We'll party after that. I mean, how old is Cat now? He's 25.
He's quite young.
Turning 26.
God damn.
Yeah.
So,
But how he's not become so frustrated
because he's just been in Minnesota the whole time.
Yeah, exactly. That's the problem, right?
And it's what I found weird with him, right, is that do you remember those votes from GM saying, if you had to start your own franchise now, who would you start? Who would be like? He'll be 2 years running. He got voted number one, like top pick in terms of I'll start building my franchise around that guy. The thing is that Cat can't play defense. Like offensively, he's gifted. He can rebound, but then defensively, he's just a liability. And I don't know if he's that's how I think. That's what I think about him. Is like it feels like he's hiding there, like. Nobody, like it's a small town, it's a small market. It's on the Western Conference. It's all good. Like, if I was to get traded anywhere else, I might get found out. Do you know what I mean? Like, it might burst my bubble because he's still got a great value on the market. Right? If you want to bring him in, you're gonna have to deliver. So I'm thinking like he might not be. I don't know. If he's really good, but I don't know. Maybe if he's not as good as we think he is.
I don't know. I think it's a good assumption, and you can ask questions like that 100% because, as you, Mike, said, like he hasn't developed as he should have, and you, Tom, you have a good point, But he also struggled with a bit of like personal issues. We all know
Sure.
what happened with COVID.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And I think he was injured quite a bit
Yep.
as well.
Yeah.
So maybe if he stays healthy, D'Angelo stays healthy, Pat Bear can be a good influence, and then this bunch of new guys with a new coach who just took over half season last year. I can see good things happening from this team. I don't see them making the playoffs, but a better record, is a better way of playing, better defense. Something is going to improve, I think.
It won't be the defense, but
No, it won't be the defense, no.
they do have a scorching offense. D'Angelo Russell started the preseason hot, but it's just, this is what Jimmy saw, right? He was there at the team. He saw Wiggins get his big contract and be totally content. He saw Towns get paid out and be totally content. And he was like, get me out of here. These kids don't want to be great.
And it happened to him again.
They don't want to be great. Well, no, but Embiid has a lot more drive than those two do. He has a lot more drive.
Like he said similar things about Simmons.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
They're trying to build around this guy that doesn't have a fucking killer instinct.
Yeah. And that it's just plain to see, I think, with Towns. I think you're right. I think they're just having fun, enjoying being in the NBA. And I don't know if they want anything more for themselves. I don't know if they want to strive for championships. I don't know if they're gonna pull an AD, pull a Paul George, pull a whoever else and be like, hey, I've been in the league 8-9 years. I want to go and win somewhere. I could see them just being like, well, didn't happen. Damn. Made a ton of money. Whoops.
Yeah, who's gonna pay me? Yeah.
But then do you remember they brought in Anthony Edwards, who said that he actually didn't really care that much about basketball. I think I can't remember what his quote was.
Yeah.
But he was like, it's my job. I'll do it because I like it. But
yeah.
And it's like, you brought in a third guy who's talented as hell.
Yeah, he is.
But the guy is probably not living, breathing basketball. Like he'll do what he's got to do. But like, is he all that bothered? And it's weird. It's really weird. It's a really weird situation. It's if they were taking it, I'm not saying they're not taking it seriously, but like if they would care, like Jimmy Butler said, right? If they had a killer instinct, ambition, like they're easily better than the Pelicans, the Kings, obviously the Thunder, the Rockets, and like on paper the Spurs even. Like they should be a play-in automatically to me. But because we know what we know, my prediction is I've put them close to the bottom again. And it shouldn't be like that.
And it's a crappy organization. Like it's run so poorly, and it's the less than the sum of its parts off the court as well. So it's a shame. Talent there. It's talent there.
Yeah.
Well, they don't know what to do. Even if you blew it up, they wouldn't they fuck it up.
Oh, come on. They have Towns. Like they have Towns. They got the cornerstone that you want to build around, and here we are.
They just blow it up and bring in Harrison Barnes, and something like they just trade it. Oh God, they just trade
that's two.
Barnes. No, that's fine.
You know what happens next time.
It's fine. We only got 2 teams left. So good.
Put the money in the pig. Put the money in the pig. After the T-Wolves. Oh my gosh. The Thunder didn't have the worst record in the West.
Nope.
The Oklahoma City Thunder. Tell us, Jose.
Yeah, the Thunder. So the Thunder got 7 players in, 5 of them via draft. We know that they have that picks, right?
Mo picks, baby.
Yeah. Excuse me. So they got, obviously they drafted Josh Giddey on the 6th position. He's Australian. Yeah. Another Australian in the league. Trey Mann, Robinson Earl, Aaron Wiggins, another Wiggins. Vid Krejci from the 2020 draft. Paul Watson as free agent, and Derek Favors via trade. Out, Al Horford, who never really got a chance to do anything in the Thunder. Tony Bradley, Moses Brown, and Mikhailiuk, free agent.
He's gone?
Now, obviously, they extend Shai Gilgeous-Alexander's contract, which is a smart move, you say, because they obviously want to build around him. And they guaranteed the contract of the GOAT.
Of course.
Gabriel Deck. So this team, they're all super young. They can all run. I don't know if they're gonna be able to defend. They have some potential, especially with SGA, who has proven to be a really good player. But besides that, I don't see many things happening. It's gonna be another rebuilding season for the OKC Thunder. If you see their potential starting lineup, SGA at point guard, Dort, Giddey, Basley, and Robbie. I mean, I saw Giddey play in Australia, and he kind of plays like a Lonzo LaMelo kind of hybrid, but he's a bit more athletic in a way that he can jump more, but that's it. But he essentially played as a point guard in Australia,
right?
And you have SGA on this team, So why would you draft the point guard when you have a starting point guard? And if you want to build that, and they're starting him, he's starting as a small guard, shooting guard or small forward. So I don't see the direction that this team is taking right now. But I think it's another rebuilding season. So 14th, maybe 13th in the West. That's it.
Yes. Well, I mean, SGA is a scorer, right? He's a scoring guard, regardless of whether he plays the one or the two. He's a scorer. That's his primary asset on the team. That's the thing that he can give the most. So I think that might be part of the thinking, that it's a second ball handler to take some of the pressure off him long term potentially, and someone that's thinking pass first, because SGA doesn't, right?
Yeah, we'll see. I think still they're still down there. They're not going anywhere.
Yeah, Lou Dort is really good, man.
Yeah. Didn't talk about Pokachevsky. Who's Pokachevsky?
Alexei Pokachevsky. Yeah, he's all right. Derek Favors can do something at the center too, and obviously Gabriel Deck is going to be a top scorer. But
in the league.
But yeah, we'll see. They should run a lot. I want to watch. I want to see the Timberwolves against the Thunder. That should be a good game. All young.
They played in preseason, I think.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know if they did, but I know that Minnesota in the preseason.
Did you see that tweet from the OKC official Twitter account when they went? They had two pictures of what's his name, Poku or whatever. Like the rookie is like how it started, like him like this posing, no muscles, whatever, and it's like how it's going, and it's literally the same. Like he's like they're pretending he was lifting weights the whole summer, but it's like oh, he looks buff now. It's like he looks malnourished. Oh, every time I speak. Oh no,
that's 3.
I'm out of the podcast.
Player Tom, you have been eliminated from the podcast. There we go. It's only right.
It's only right. He's gone.
Yeah, they'll be down bottom again. So our final team is the Houston Rockets. Oh, that's me.
Yeah.
So they had way more ins than outs somehow. Another rebuilding team. They only had Sterling Brown leave, as far as my records show. I don't know if there was anyone else, but they signed Şengün as a rookie. He looked good in summer league. Promising player from Turkey. Daniel Tice Sekou Doumbouya, who I think they might have
He got
cut him, which is crazy. Like this time last year, he was killing in the preseason. He was ready to break out.
He's got a very bad reputation, and he's got a lot of problems, personal problems. Not just like he's creating a lot of problems.
Character
himself, so his agent actually dumped him after he got drafted because he's like, you're too much of a diva. Trouble, basically. He
was in 2K, wasn't he? Prominent member in 2K last year. He was in the story. Before, I mean. This guy. Kelly Olynyk. It's going to change everything. New culture. And Dante Exum, Australian Kobe, still holding on hope that he's gonna turn the tables on you guys.
The Australian Frank Nicky.
I was gonna say
basically.
Same guy.
So yeah, that's who came in. But more importantly, Jalen Green, the rookie. Another year of Porter Jr. And then also another year of Tate, Jayceon, and another year of Christian Wood. And those 4 players, I think, are gonna make this such a fun team. Like they're not gonna win any games, but they're gonna have a hell of a lot of fun losing. They're like the young version of the Chicago Bulls. And yeah, they're just gonna be a lot of fun. I can't wait to see them out there performing.
Are you guys having fun? All of that losing, all those L's. Are you liking it? Is John Wall still there?
Exciting, man. Yeah, he is. John Wall's still there. I'm not sure of his cousin still on the books. No, he's not. Oh yeah, he went to the Clippers. I don't know if he's still there. So yeah, Kevin Porter Jr. They also have David Nwaba. They still have Eric Gordon. Veteran leadership there. Veteran leadership.
Wow.
Just leave, man.
What's he still doing there, man? Wow.
But yeah, I mean, it's another rebuilding year. They'll hope for another good draft pick. They're going to have a lot of picks yet again. So it's going to be a matter of whether they can hit and build around that young core that I just mentioned. But I think they're actually in a weirdly good spot as long as they can keep all of the character stuff in check, making sure that the younger players develop right as far as their character goes. I think that the future could be bright for this team. I'm really into Jalen Green. I think he's an exciting prospect. He could be one of the great scorers of this generation of players. As far as his athleticism goes and his shooting touch as well, he's going to be a fun one for sure. In that Levine, Vince Carter kind of mold. Yeah, that exciting, guys. Exciting. But yeah, I think that's it, guys.
Made it.
Did it.
So
not in the playoffs then. Not in the
no. They're out.
Out. I see.
That's what the tennis umpire said. Yeah, so that wraps up our Western Conference preview. Thank you for listening. We have been the Grit and Grime Pod. You can catch us on socials at Grit and Grime Pod across all socials. Remember to like, share, subscribe, rate, and review the podcast. Head over to our Linktree page, Linktree/Grit and Grime Podcast. Don't forget the cast on the end there. You can support us financially or just by listening to our stuff. There's also a bunch of links that we did over the summer for special content that we produced then. That is available for purchase. That kind of stuff just helps us keeping the podcast running, takes care of our running costs. So thank you for listening. We will catch you next week for our predictions podcast, shortly followed by the start of the season. Exciting times. I have been your host, David Sagoe. For this guy, Thomas Arnal.
Get vaccinated, especially if you're on the East Coast.
or you might not be able to play home games. Michael
at all.
Downey
Good night.
and Jose Garcia Vidal.
That's all, folks.
Bye.
We're out of here.